is good, YouTube family? Welcome back to Creativity with Purpose, where we create with purpose on purpose. My name is Bilani Mdaga, and I'm so glad to have you here. Please pardon my voice. I have a bit of a flu, but I have a little, not a little, I have a message of encouragement to share with you guys. And I woke up feeling so downcast and heavy in my spirit this morning, and the Lord literally led me to Psalm 100. And I want to read it for you first before I go further. And it says, "Make a joyful shout to the Lord, all you lands. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come before his presence with singing. Know that the Lord, he is God. It is he who has made us and not we ourselves. We are his people and the sheep of his pasture. Enter into his gates with thanksgiving and into his courts with praise. Be thankful to him and bless his name. For the Lord is good, his mercy is everlasting, and his truth endures to all generations." And I think sometimes when we feel these emotions that are so heavy or that we don't understand, we always want a quick solution to the feeling. We always want a quick solution to the storm, and or not a quick solution to the feeling rather, but we want things to be fixed right now. And we don't really sit with that in God's presence. We don't really submit that to God. We don't really say, Lord, this is how I'm feeling. I don't know what's going on, but I know you're sovereign beyond that. I know you're sovereign above these things. And I think more than anything, we always just feel like, God, fix it now. And God can fix it now. But I just want us to have a different perspective of, you know, the scripture that I'll put somewhere so you guys can see. Basically, the scripture speaks about, for the spirit of heaviness, there's the garment of praise. I don't want to remix scripture, so I'll put it somewhere so I'm 100% sure. But basically, all that to say that when we feel these things, worship. When we feel these things, praise. When we feel these things, read the word, spend time in God's presence. Even if you don't feel like you have the right words to say, you sit there, you sit there in God's presence, you invite him. And there's no way that God will not come. There's no way that God will not grace you with his presence. There's no way that God will not give you that joy, that peace. There's just so much peace in knowing that God is in control and you are not in control. That kind of peace helps you praise in situations where people would feel like, why are you still so joyous? Why are you still so peaceful? Why are you still so all those things? And what we fail to understand is that all those people who were imprisoned and who were beaten and all of these things in the Bible for the sake of the gospel, it's not that they did not feel those emotions. I think that it's more so that in the midst of that, in the midst of the chaos and the pain, God gave them a supernatural peace. He gave them a joy in the midst of it. And that's the kind of peace that makes you praise in the prison cell. And when the gates are open to you, the first thing that you do is not run out because the gates have been opened or the chains have been broken. The first thing that you do is praise, because you understand that it is only God, who has taken us out of the situation, and he deserves all the praise despite my situation, despite my circumstance. The basis of God's faithfulness, or God's faithfulness, is not upon the basis of whether our situation seems to be working out or not. He is faithful regardless or irregardless. And yeah, I thought that was beautiful. So I thought I should share it with you, because God gave me a fresh perspective of, my child, like, praise me, for that garment of heaviness, um, for that spirit of heaviness. I mean, there's the garment of praise, and it clothes you, it clothes you. But yeah, I thought that was a beautiful, beautiful reminder from God. And yeah.
It's already present and showing up. I think it was just that you were acknowledging mine more than your own.
Comparison is the thief of joy. And
even in your own relationship.
And not even in like a nasty way. I'm just like,
No.
I'd rather help genius than be out. That's not always, I love you, good morning texts. or like long messages. Those are nice.
That's the bottom.
Yeah, that's like
the bottom line. Like
the bare minimum.
I think people take for granted when you live with someone. Why is coming out? Don't even look at it. I'm about to put this on top.
No, go that side. Yes, much better.
But this area of
Yeah.
gives me a better perspective.
And I think for me, what it did for me, sorry to cut you off, it like gave me a lot of compassion towards black men, because I think sometimes, and I feel like these things are sometimes seen as like
it's not
just
a woman
surface.
issue.
It's just like surface level of, he's just a hard guy, or he doesn't care. But like the things that they had to go through, and the feelings that they had to suppress, and things that they had to not remember in order to fend for their families, in order to not break down, literally. It's like it makes you understand, because even though this may be somebody's grandfather or grandfather's experience, these things are generational. They pass down through families, especially when they're not being healed or addressed, because nobody wants to remember those things. Nobody wants to remember those pains and what they had to go through. And so I think for me, it just gives me a different level of compassion for people in society who we would see as too hard or not caring and stuff like that. But they just want to get to another day, and they don't want to remember what they had to, go through. And bruh, I think for me, I love Toni Morrison so much because she articulates herself so well. But I also understand, and I would say for anyone who wants to read her, brace yourself. Like, because even though she writes from the lens of fiction, I know that this is a black man or black woman story out there, you know.
No, there's nothing like a Denzel Washington movie.
A man with his skills. I want to know who he really is. I want to know who he's working for.
They don't.
First of all, don't worry if I'm wearing this jersey, or if it can even be said that I'm wearing it or not. But I'm currently reading this book, and it's The Silver Horn. I think I've already mentioned that. But I just thought I wanted to read this quickly for you guys because it stood out to me. And basically, trigger warning, it's about like mental health and stuff like that. So she literally says, I have taken medication on and off for years for depression, she said, and it took a long time for that to be okay with me, because that didn't fit with my being able to handle everything. Once I realized not only that these obstacles were there, but that it was okay for them to be there, I started to get better. I think my expectations of myself emotionally until very recently just have all been terribly out of whack. Somehow I expected perfection, not intellectually, but emotionally. I don't think I saw depression as something I might have to contend with for the rest of my life. The rest of my life. The turning point came when I finally realized that my depression will get better and worse throughout my life, and that's okay. That's the okay that I didn't have before. And I thought this was so powerful for me because I strongly believe that, we can be completely healed from these things, even mental illness. I believe that God can heal us from those things. But I also do believe that within the Christian community, there's a lot of like unspoken, there's this unspoken thing of, as a Christian, you cannot or you cannot have a mental illness, or you cannot be mentally ill or challenged in some way. And that's far from the truth. I know so many Christians who have struggled from that. And I think people tend to look at maybe or try to find ways to blame you for that. Like, you have this probably because A, B, C, and D. And guys, mental illness is just that, an illness. Nobody asks for an illness. And I think we need to start having these conversations, because I think I haven't listened to it completely, but the sermon by, I'll try to put it somewhere on the screen. I haven't finished listening to it. I listened to the very beginning, but I actually didn't know that I'm not going to say any name because I don't want to get it wrong. Like I said, I'll put the screenshots of the thing somewhere on the screen, of the sermon, so you guys can give it a listen. But this man of God who preached like all his life, and was known to be one who lived life in a way that, we are expected to as Christians, yet he struggled with depression quite literally until he died. And so, in and out of seasons of depression, he continued to preach. And I thought, for me, that was so powerful and impactful, because sometimes we feel like we're inadequate because we have these challenges, or we may go through seasons where we have these mental challenges, and it's like it couldn't be far from the truth. God is able to use even that for his glory, And so I thought that was so profound. There's such a beauty in that vulnerability and in that knowledge of, oh wow, there are people who suffer in the way that you do, with things unspoken of, things unseen. It's one thing to have a physical illness that people can see, and it's another thing to have an illness that no one can see, and people just feel like your life is good. Like, why are you sad? And I don't think people understand how condescending that is, and also not just condescending, but might I say ignorant, because if you actually do your research on mental illness and you understand what it is, you don't even have to do research. Just having understanding and compassion for people in that way. And so for me, I thought this was quite profound, because she says all her life she had this mechanism of wanting to be able to handle things, and that mechanism that she used to cope now became something that was so unhealthy for her and toxic, because she didn't even want to take medication for this mental illness of hers, because she felt like it meant that she looked weak, or that she couldn't handle this, whereas she could handle every other thing. And I just want to encourage someone, like, pray about it. Ask God to help you. Ask God to heal you if you may be struggling mentally. And also realize, though, that God has equipped certain people in this world to give you the necessary tools to get through certain things. They are literally Christian therapists, psychologists. And so if you feel that that is what would make you more comfortable, then do that. But just get the help. Don't suffer in silence. Don't laugh in front of your loved ones, acting like everything's okay when you know that you're not okay. When you go back into isolation and when you're by yourself, you know that you're not fine. So yeah, depression is just a complex phenomenon. And I think, yeah, man, just get help. Talk to somebody. It doesn't make you look weak. In fact, there is strength in your vulnerability. There is strength in your asking, can you help me? There is strength in you saying, I need help. Yeah, I just thought I should share that, because yeah, man, guys, a lot is going on in the world, and the least you can do is take care of your mental.